Hi Simone, I'm Petra. It's lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Petra.
Now, you're the Director of Strategy and Risk at the Financial Markets Authority. Could you tell us a bit about your role?
Certainly. So, Director of Strategy and Risk, broadly my remit is to try and set the core regulatory strategy for the Financial Markets Authority. So to help our functional teams with their day-to-day activities and align those activities with our strategic priorities. So also in my remit is government and industry relations, so dealing with our government agencies and our minister. I also lead the corporate governance work for the FMA, and I run the operational and strategic risk frameworks for the FMA. So quite a varied portfolio.
And what's the most challenging aspect of your job?
I guess for us it's working out where to spend our effort. So we have a lot of discretionary activities, so we need to work out where are the harms in the market, where are we going to have the most impact, where are we going to get the most bang for the taxpayer, levy payers buck, I guess. So really, I guess the challenge is to work out where to spend our time.
What role does the FMA play within the New Zealand financial markets?
So the FMA is the conduct regulator for financial markets and financial markets participants. So we sit alongside the Reserve Bank. We have a Twin Peaks regulatory model. So we're interested in the behaviour, the culture, the conduct of our financial markets participant. We license firms who participate in the market. We license markets themselves, and we oversee the conduct of intermediaries in our markets as well. So quite a broad remit.
Information is becoming an increasingly valuable asset. How do you see the ownership and use of information affecting the role of the FMA?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we're starting to build our own capability, so data analytics, knowledge management. We need to bring our own internal capability up and change the way we work in that regard as well. So data management for us is about using the information we get in our day-to-day interactions with the market. So we're starting to change the way we work and to be much more efficient in the way we do that.
What did the 2016 FMA Review of Corporate Governance Disclosure reveal about company governance in New Zealand?
So that was a good study for us to do. So it really, the Review of Corporate Governance Disclosures told us what companies disclose. It really didn't give us a great insight into what they do and how they behave, but it certainly gave us a starting point into what they disclose. I think generally companies could probably do a little bit better in transparency of information for their investors and their shareholders. We found some policies that they refer to really difficult to find, so we could see a little bit of a raising of the bar in terms of just making things easy to find for investors, potential investors, shareholders. So really opening the books a little bit more would be great. We also looked at things like diversity and how boards are, I guess, looking across the skills matrix and when they bring on new board members and things like that. So there's lots of areas that ripe for improvement in New Zealand companies.
How can New Zealand businesses work towards improving their corporate governance practices in the future?
I think what we'd like to see is corporate governance being less of a compliance exercise. So there's a lot that directors can do to recognise the high value that investors place on a company that is well governed. So I guess just raising the standards across the board, and we've talked a little bit about diversity, board member appointments, making sure those issues of independence and the right skills are brought to bear when you're looking at board succession.
What challenges have you faced throughout your career, and how have they contributed to your career development?
I think no one really tells you how difficult it can be to be a full-time working parent, so that's quite a challenge. I asked both of my children whether they or what benefits they saw in full-time working parents. my oldest daughter thought there were huge benefits, no risk of over-parenting. She's very independent, so that was good to hear. She's also very aware of financial independence. It's quite good for her to see two parents working in different careers. And my youngest daughter saw absolutely no benefit at all. So I guess, you know, being a full-time working parent is a challenge, and it's one that you just need to navigate and make sure you've got good support around you. Another challenge is managing people and making sure that you understand that everyone approaches things differently. You know, managing people is a skill, and I'm always looking to grow my skills in terms of leadership and management.
Could you describe one important lesson that you have learned from your work career?
I guess to deal with setbacks with grace. People do notice how you deal with adversity, so that's one thing that I definitely learned to do.
What attributes do you look for when hiring new graduates?
I look for relating skills, so I guess in some senses organisational fit, but really you want people who can work well with others. You want people who can go out into the market and talk to people well, that can build these stakeholder networks. And we also want people who can problem solve. So some of those sort of basic human interaction skills are incredibly important. But yeah, so relating skills are very important to us, organisational fit.
And finally, what can current Otago students learn from your experience?
Possibly not to be afraid to do things a little bit outside the box. So a couple of the roles I took early in my career were very different to what my peers were doing, but they did really put me ahead in terms of years and depth of experience. So not to be afraid to do that, but also to appreciate the value of your networks, your professional and personal networks. I think stakeholder management is a lifelong job, really, and particularly in a small country. We have small companies, we're all very connected, so always use your networks. People are usually very generous with their time, that I've found anyway, so for those two aspects.
Well, thank you very much, Simone. It's been a pleasure to have you back at Otago, and thank you for taking the time to answer these questions.
Thank you, Petra. I've enjoyed my time here today. Thank you.